the All About Town theater man Bill Millard saw Next to Normal on Broadway, he was struck by its power and immediacy, so he did what he often does. He brought it to his beloved Vancouver. Since 1972, Bill has been the artistic managing director of Vancouver's Arts Club Theatre Company, now in its 48th season. It is my pleasure to welcome Bill Millard back to Studio 4 to tell us more. Nice to see you again, soldier.
Good to see you.
So you go to New York and you watch a musical like this one, Next to Normal, and you feel something, obviously, and know it will work here or not, or how do you do that?
Well, it is an extraordinary work to begin with. I was fascinated when I heard about it. It sort of started off Broadway, then moved to Broadway and won a whole bunch of awards. And,
some Tonys?
Yeah, some Tonys, and the Pulitzer Prize.
That.
First of all, it's a serious musical. There's, there's lots of fun musicals out there. We just did Hairspray, so there's lots of musicals that are very enjoyable, clearly. But this is about a serious subject, and that's what really drew me in. How can they write a musical about somebody who has bipolar, suffers bipolar, is what we know is manic depressive,
right?
But now called bipolar. And I thought, how can they write a musical? And they did, and it's got a sort of a rock score. It's very contemporary and thrilling.
I'm sure, because if you know people who suffer from any kind of bipolar disorder, you know their lives are pretty high drama.
Absolutely, and I didn't know really. I knew an actress years and years ago who was manic depressive, she started to get treatment, but she'd also go off her treatment. Her treatment was mainly lithium, and she would go off it, and we'd go, "Ooh, she's in the manic stage," but the other corollary of that is the depressive stage. So,
sure.
So then I started reading about it, and really was fascinated by these individuals who can be very creative. But they can also be wacky. They're suicidal. There's all sorts of things that obviously needs treatment. And the thing the musical sort of looks at is it's a woman. It's a mother, and in a nice marriage in a nice place like Vancouver, although it takes place on the eastern seaboard.
Right.
Living a sort of regular life, and then she just goes out there. She goes off, decides to go off her medicine, and we see what happens when someone like that does that. So it really zeroes in on how these individuals need to be treated.
Well, how do you write a song, talking about this? I'm assuming in a musical you have songs.
Oh, yeah. No, in fact, it's sung through. It's a very little dialogue. It's practically all music, this kind of rock, contemporary music. But it's there. These incredible writers came up with a score. It's a wonderful score. It gets in your brain. The melodies sort of. They're not sort of Rodgers and Hammerstein type of melodies. No, but they are ones that really give you an insight into who this person is.
What is the story essentially? Mother goes off her meds, has some issues.
Yep, that's basically it. It starts with a happy family. And you think this is a wonderful family. Yeah, exactly. Here we are they're getting up in the morning. The first song is about sort of getting ready for the day. The kids are going to the school, and we think everything is fine. And then she starts making sandwiches on the floor. So you think, this is odd. Not everybody makes sandwiches on the floor. And then you realize there's something here. There's something wrong. And so then really it follows her trajectory from going to to see if she should have different pills. Eventually she has to have ECT, which is basically shock therapy. She decides how she's going to deal with this. And a lot of it is about her relationship with her daughter and how her daughter the daughter is 16 years old. So you can imagine when her mother is whacked out, how is the daughter going to respond? And it really then examines the family dynamics and how they deal with this.
I was reading a story in the New York Times this weekend about a young man whose parents were heroin addicts, and he said everybody talked slow at his house, and then they'd fall asleep. But because he was little, he just thought that's how parents were.
Absolutely.
If you're raised with somebody who makes sandwiches on the floor and you haven't been somewhere else, you think maybe that's what happens. That's what happens at our house. It's our own version of slightly crazy. And yet I think something like this is probably very good for people who are mentally challenged or to bring mental illness out, because so many of us have either dealt with it or live with it.
Well, and you know, exactly that. I think you see some people and you think they are completely, you know, like homeless people or wandering the streets talking to themselves, and you wonder what has caused that. And a lot of people just want to avoid it. On the other hand, these things can be treated, and this musical examines how.
Right. So you direct this, correct?
I directed it.
And what does that mean exactly? You tell Diana where to stand on the stage, or do you do more than that?
Well, first of all,
Let's hope.
the first job is casting, and I'm blessed with a wonderful cast. Katrina Murphy's playing the mother and the woman who suffers from bipolar. Warren Kimmel, who's just a fabulous, fabulous singer-actor, is playing her husband. Jenny Newman, who was just in Hairspray, she's playing the daughter, and then Matt Palmer plays a doctor, Colin Sheen, and Eric Moran, who's a real find, just new to the city. They're all local, but they're all amazing.
As an artistic director, when you pick a season, what's your litmus test? Stanley Theatre, for instance, because I know Arts Club Company has more than one theatre, but so you're thinking the Stanley. What will work there? And what play should we start with? This one.
Well, the Stanley is our main subscription house, the Stanley Industrial Alliance stage. So, of course, I look for plays that a subscriber, yourself, myself, just plays that I think they would like to see. They may not know anything about Next to Normal, but it's an important work and they should see it. And then I pair it up with other shows, usually a classic.
Like The Importance of Being Earnest?
Importance of Being Earnest, absolutely, Oscar Wilde's. And then Next to Normal is followed by Penelopiad, which is Margaret Atwood's.
I interviewed her on Penelopiad.
Oh, yeah, well, then you know a lot about it then.
Well, you know, Margaret does. But she's so smart.
Yeah.
And sometimes her creative brain goes way out there. So Penelopiad is a play.
It's a play.
Not a musical.
It's not a musical, although there's music in it. But it's a play, and you know, it's sort of that story about Penelope way back in ancient Greece. Meg Rose playing Penelope,
right.
And then she has all these people that she has to deal with, and their decisions, or what they decide to do about men, basically, and you know, should they go to war or not go to war? But yeah, Margaret Atwood. When I read it, I thought it was very funny, and it's light, but at the same time, you know, she has a message.
But there's
there.
a little bit of deeper meaning.
There's a little
as
bit
always with Margaret Atwood.
That's right.
Christmas time, White Christmas again.
White
Have
Christmas
you done that
is
before?
Yep, we've done it a couple of times. Just a wonderful. Well, Irving Berlin. You know, it's the most popular song in the world, I think, White Christmas. So
I think, and Bing Crosby's gone, so
Bing
you can
Crosby's
find another crooner.
That's right. Well, we have Jeffrey Victor plays that part, and Todd Talbot is his mate, and they're terrific. What can I say?
Sure. Calendar Girls, what's that about?
Well, it's based on the movie.
That's on the list, right?
Yep. It's in early next year. It's based on the movie, and one of the women, this is in North England, in the York area, she loses her husband to leukemia. And so they decide to raise money to get a machine for the hospital, and they decide to do a calendar. And the calendar, of course, sort of like the fireman's calendar. It's sort of their...
Are they nude, or are they just scantily clad?
Well, they're sort of nude, but tastefully nude.
I see.
Very tastefully
Hiding
nude.
behind one tree.
That's right, or a leaf. They're women of a certain age, and the calendar, of course, sells out, and they do another one, and they raise the money.
Great. High Society is the last one?
That's the last one. It's after Importance of Being Earnest. Cole Porter's musical, based on the movie, the Grace Kelly movie, but also based on Philadelphia Story, the play that starred Katharine Hepburn. And Jennifer Lyons is playing that part. She's a wonderful, wonderful musical actress. She's done a lot at Bard and the Beach. So I'm looking forward to that. Cole Porter's music, what can I say?
I know. What were you doing before Arts Club? You?
I was a stage manager at the Playhouse. I went to the National Theatre School, and one of the shows I stage managed was at the old Seymour Street Arts Club, and that's how I basically got attached to it. And then I worked on Jacques Brel is Alive and Well, and I just stayed.
And all the Jacques Brel cast is still alive and well.
They're still doing very well. And Mortifi, she's up on Cortez Island. And
yes, Leon Bibb.
Leon Bibb, he's still singing. We just did a concert of his a couple of years ago. Yeah, he's like Dal Richards. He's like Dal Richards. They're around.
I think music makes you live longer.
I
know it's a theory, but they talk about, conductors I don't know if it's moving the lymph around in the body or
It
it's just
be.
that music fuels the soul, something about that, all of that. One women plays, one man plays. Any on the agenda that you can think of this year?
No,
At
but we're
Arts Club Granville or?
well, or the review stage. No, we're working on a couple. We have this commission program, and we've commissioned Camille Chai to write a work about his relationship with his mother, which is and she she had Alzheimer's, and it sounds like the season. It's not going to be done this season, but it's a wonderful work that we commissioned, and we're going to do it at the review stage, possibly next season.
When the Arts Club was first invented, why was it put together? Was it put together as a theater company or just some actors wanting to hang out? Or
No, there was this wonderful woman, Yvonne Firkins. You know, there's great women in this community who've really, like Joy Coghill, who've done a tremendous amount for theater. And the Arts Club moved to the Seymour Street quarters, and there was an upstairs that was an old gospel hall, actually, and she thought she was very interested in theater. They had been doing play readings, and so she said, well, let's get a bunch of actors together, professional actors, and do plays, and that's basically how it started.
You're a governor at the National Theatre School, which you pointed out. What's going on there?
Well, they are celebrating their 50th anniversary at the National Theatre School. So there's a huge celebration at the end of October. We'll go see some of the graduating students. A lot of the alumni are coming back. I mean, the school is why I'm in theater, really. I didn't think about going into theater, but went to the National Theatre School during Expo 67, mainly to go to Montreal.
Yes, I've seen you at some of the NTS events because I used to date one of the NTS governors, don't you know?
And he's still a governor.
And he's still a governor, but he doesn't ask me out anymore, I'm telling you.
Okay, I'll call him up.
Would you say? I'd just like to come to the 50th. We're still friends.
Oh, that's
Maybe
good.
you could broker that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I'll tell him.
Okay, you get on that.
I will.
All right. Do you act?
No.
Ever?
Oh, I did way back when I started out, and there was this wonderful teacher out at UBC. I went to UBC before I went to the National Theatre School, Dorothy Somerset. And so I took a basic acting course, and she took me aside, and she said, you know, you might reconsider whether you really want to be an actor. And I said, well, I'm not sure I want to be an actor. And she said, good. She thought just I had this most peculiar voice, and I'm not going to get. She said maybe later on in your life. So maybe I could be an actor now, but
would you like to?
No, really, no.
No.
I don't think I could do it night after night. I've such admiration for actors that they create something on stage, very different from film, and they have to do it 8 shows a week. I mean, that's amazing.
Toothache or not?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, look at what happened in Hairspray with Jay Brazeau, and then another actor came in and took over the role with.
Did he have a slight stroke?
Very slight. Yeah.
Very slight stroke. And did he come back to finish the run?
He came back, and he was determined to come back, and we sort of eased him back into it, and then he did the last couple of weeks, 8 shows a week, and he was fine. But that is a life force when you talk about conductors and music people. Actors are the same way. They've got to perform.
I've been reading Furious Love, a little light reading, Liz Taylor and Richard Burton, and their love affair, and the amount of drinking Mr. Burton did on stage and off. It's amazing to have that brain.
That he could remember his lines would be amazing.
Pretty much dead drunk on stage with Olivier and still able to pull it off.
Yeah.
Who knows?
It's not something that I prescribe for the actors.
No. Well, and it's probably like rock stars today. They're eating vegetarian and, you know.
Yeah, they have water backstage now.
Exactly.
We just make sure it's not spiked, as it were.
Of course you do. How nice to see you again.
Nice to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having
I'll
me.
come and watch next to normal.
Okay.
Because I am normal, of course.
It runs a month.
It runs a month?
It runs a month.
Okay, so next to normal until October 8th.
That's right.
At the Stanley Industrial Alliance stage.
That's right.
On Granville Street.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill Millard. Coming up, Mr. Busy, Shell Buzzy, the house smart guy, is revved up and raring to get you into more home renos. Stay with us.